She was faced with the most difficult moments a mom and wife could ever imagine. And then her career crumbled around her a decade later. This episode's guest is Traci Kovacic, who's here with me today, and she is the CEO of Shine On Investments. And she wants you to know that she has emerged through the trauma stronger and better than ever. So you're going to want to watch out. And this episode could not be live without the help of Black Oswald Coffee Company. I'm encouraging all of you right now, go to blackoswaldcoffeeco.com, order 10 blends that are on there. You'll thank me later. Every drop, every grain, every bean goes to benefit those undergoing mental health journeys. And you can partner with Black Oswald Coffee Company to benefit your own nonprofit that you love that helps those undergoing mental health journeys. So before I go on, Traci, I always want guests to get to tell me who you are, what you do for a living, and what brought you to doing what you do today. And then I'll kind of, we'll just kind of shoot the shit, as they say.
Okay.
So go for it.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. I've known Marta for a long time. We went to high school together, and she actually grew up with my little sister. And so we connected a few months ago when I was in a transition period in my life. So who I am is, like she said, I'm Traci Kovacic, and I am the CEO of Shine On Investments, located down in Pittsburgh. I created this company after an entire decade of trauma. I need to just be transparent. And for the first time in 10 years, I've decided to talk about my trauma. And for the last 10 years, I was the vice president of my father-in-law's company, Riverfront Financial, located in Ingomar. And I loved my position. I love my position and what I learned. I never planned on being a financial advisor. I used to sell uniforms, and I went to school for fashion. But I ended up in this business because when Michael and I moved back from Denver, I started working with his dad, and he wanted.
And Michael is your former husband.
Michael is my husband. I still refer to him as my husband because I'm not yet remarried. I am engaged, and he'll always be that to me. And when we lost him, now Facebook Live, whoever sees this, I do sometimes bounce around a little bit when I talk. So,
and so do I. So you're in good company.
When we lost him, over 2,000 people came to his funeral. Mm-hmm. And it was quick. He was running a race in Pittsburgh, and he just didn't come home. His heart went into an arrhythmia. Everybody asked me if it was a heart attack or what happened to him. And what happened to him was that his heart went into an arrhythmia, which means that all of the channels that make your heart pump went crazy. And when I got to the hospital, I got a call that he had collapsed. And I was driving down. My kids were 5 months old. My son Calvin was 5 months old, and my daughter was 3. Mm-hmm. A week away from her 3rd birthday. And we were driving down to pick up Matt and Michael from the race to take him out to breakfast. And I got a call that he collapsed. And we were at the hospital a few minutes later. And a few minutes later, I was in the little room. And they just said to me that they couldn't save him. And that was it. It was a shock that I don't even think I cried that day. I don't remember. I instantly knew that he was gone, that there was nothing that would bring him back. And so what I did was I worked a lot, and that helped me to start to heal because.
And you continued to work for his father's company with his father-in-law. Yeah.
And that family became my own family. And the bond that we have is like incredibly special because of Michael, because of the person that he was, and his parents and how they raised him and the values that they instilled in him. I believe that even though I only was married to him for what would have been 5 years, he fundamentally changed me in many ways. And it's funny because in high school, we all went to high school together, and he was so wonderful back then, and I was crazy, and I liked the bad boys. And Michael's just always been very special, and he's still very special. And for anyone out there who has lost a spouse like that, they understand. And if you haven't, then you don't understand. And I don't mean to say that in any way that's offensive. It's just the truth. Just like I like to say, and I learned this from my father-in-law, my mentor, everybody has their own sack of rocks. And unfortunately, mine were heavy. And they didn't stop at Michael's death either. I got pregnant 2 years later with my current fiance, and he actually was running the race with Michael when he died. And it's crazy. We went to prom together, my fiance and I, and we have a daughter together. Her name is Sydney, and she's now 7. I worked so hard for so many. Everybody has their own sack of rocks. Sydney, at 18 months old, started having grand mal seizures, and we watched her in the ICU. We thought that we were going to lose her.
It's really hard, Traci.
She got put on medication, thank you, and she has not had a seizure since. But the anxiety that formed in me after I lost Mike, the fear that I was living with, that something bad would happen again, was insurmountable. And I became a shell of the person that I was when I was married to Mike. I was Mike's widow, and I kept working with his dad, and I kept sharing about the importance of life insurance.
Yeah.
I then continued to study, and I got my securities license so that I could do everything that Joe did. And as I worked for him, he was the one who helped me invest my life insurance money. Because when you're 32 years old and your husband dies and you have 2 little kids, and you wake up the next day and you have more money than you've ever dreamed of or wanted. Yeah. It's very hard, scary.
It's really, you hit the nail on the head, because it's the money you never wanted, and it's more money though that you've ever had when you are properly insured.
Do you also sell life insurance in addition to your investments? Do you also sell life insurance?
Yeah, I do. I sell life insurance and I sell investments. Yeah. So I'm a big proponent of it. And I love that you are out there talking about, it saved our family so that we could grieve, so that I could take care of my children, so that we could not have to worry about money when we're worrying about, we just lost a loved one.
And when I was trained, and before, my life is the before and the afters. And before, I was selling life insurance as a life insurance agent, and I was educated on it. And then I experienced it. And there's so many people, and I don't know if you experience this, Marta, when let's say they're purchasing a term insurance policy, and they say, well, this is a waste of money. This is going to be a waste of money. Like, in 20 years, like, do I get my money back? And I'm like, no, you win. You win. Like,
you live.
You want to raise this money.
Yeah.
But for the very, very, very small cost of what term insurance costs, for the mass money of tax-free benefit to your family members, it's almost something that you just shouldn't pass by.
No.
And I learned after I lost Mike, and I've noticed, and it's just how people feel, nobody wants to talk about death. Nobody wants to believe that anything bad is going to happen to them, because we want to stay focused on their kids' sports and their school and our jobs and our mortgage and what's right in front of us. But unfortunately, the other side of life is real.
Mm-hmm.
And you can wake up tomorrow and everything could be gone.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about your money. I'm talking about the people that you love.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, and it didn't end there, unfortunately. Your daughter Josie had an encounter as well.
yes. So, my daughter Josie is now 12 years old, and she's amazing. She has pink hair. She read 42 books this year.
Wow.
And she performed in a musical where she was singing and dancing.
Mm.
And that was in April.
Mm-hmm.
And 3.5 years ago, on February 27th of 2022, my daughter, and I used to drink alcohol. I used to. I quit. I quit almost 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The night before my daughter's accident, I was drinking, and I was up with my friends, and my children were there, and it was very normal for our society and our community to behave in that sort of way. And I felt like hell the next morning, but something, and I was not the kind of mom that could drink and then wake up the next day and participate. Like,
Right.
let's be honest. So I quit.
Right.
But at the time, something woke me up that morning and said, get up. And I did. And I felt like super mom. And I got Josie, who was 9, and Calvin, my son, who was 7, dressed and ready to go ski. And if you have kids, you understand.
That is a lot. That sounds exhausting. Let alone if you didn't get much sleep and had a few drinks the night before.
First thing in the morning, I had a wine hangover, and I got them dressed to go ski, and then I went back to bed. And I sent them off with their grandparents to go have a good day.
Mm-hmm.
And then at about 10 o'clock in the morning, which is so heartbreakingly ironic because it's the same time that we lost Michael. It was the Sunday at around 10 o'clock in the morning. And this accident was a Sunday around 10 o'clock in the morning. And, you can take that or leave it. To me, that's
something.
I don't know. And my daughter was standing in Seven Springs. And if you're familiar with Seven Springs, the hill Wagner. And she was standing there waiting for her brother to come down. And a man in his 20s, a large man, who had an app on his phone to see how fast he could go, went too fast. And he ran into my daughter. And she flew 20 feet in the air. And I was not there, thank God, because I would have killed her. I would have grabbed her. And she flew 20 feet in the air, and all of her gear fell off, all of it, even her helmet. And she was face down in the snow.
Wow.
She was dead. For 10 minutes, she was dead.
Wow.
And the next person to ski down was a nurse. And the next person was a maxillofacial surgeon who is my father-in-law's very best friend. His name is Gary, and he's amazing.
Yeah.
And he told everyone to get away. And the ski patrol perfectly rolled her over and preserved her neck, which was snapped in half, and she was internally decapitated.
Wow.
So in that moment, at 10 o'clock in the morning, my wine hangover, I got a phone call that they were working on her. And that was the same thing that they said to me when Michael died. And I arrived at the hospital and they were working on him. And I could feel this breath come out of me that felt like my soul. And got to the hospital and we waited for hours. When she arrived, they told the doctors to go home because there was no hope for her. Her heart was beating. But she suffered five near fatal injuries, including damage to her spleen. Her spinal cord was severed at her neck. And then the other 4, I don't even remember, but there is a video on YouTube, on my YouTube, which is Shine On Investments. And I interviewed her doctor, had the opportunity to do that in April. And he's amazing. His name is Dr. Daryl Fields. And he's the one who said, because on the initial CT scan, it said that she also had suffered a brainstem stroke. And in that case, they were not going to do anything for her. The doctor, Daryl Fields, was in his early 30s. And he came in as an understudy and wanted to examine her and see a child with so much trauma who had a brainstem stroke. And he said, this does not look like a child that had a brainstem stroke. Can we please get a full MRI? And the MRI showed that there was no brainstem stroke. They told us that the hope was very small and that her quality of life would be unknown. But the next day, because of Daryl Fields, they operated on her, a 6-hour surgery. We had to wait. And then her little toe wiggled. And we stayed in the ICU for 30 days where she could not move. She could not swallow. She could not talk. She couldn't walk. She couldn't go to the bathroom. But what she could do was she could type on her iPad and communicate, and her brain was working, but nothing else would work. And so we had to get her extubated. Extubation is when they have a tube down your throat, and you've all seen it. You know what I'm talking about. The tube had to be down her throat because she couldn't breathe. And when they extubated her, we lost her again. And the doctors explained to us how hard it was to get the tube back in. And they told me, Tracy, it was so hard to get it back in. And I said, okay. And they said, no, Tracy, it was really hard to get it back in. And I said, I get it. I get it. Stop now.
Yeah.
And, she had to have a tracheostomy and a feeding tube. And little by little, day by day, she got better. And when we left the ICU 30 days later, she still could not walk or talk or eat. But we moved to the rehab, and we were there for another 60 days. And then we came home, and she still had her tracheostomy and her feeding tube, and we did not have a nurse. It was after COVID. It was in 2022, and I had to be her nurse. So I learned everything I could.
And I want to take a moment too, because I know that you and I talked, and while all of this was going on, you also remained really loyal to your clients. I know that you, within a few weeks of losing your husband, you had been through something so hard that you wanted to be there for someone and make sure that they're taken care of because of what you'd been through. And that very same client needed you when Josie was in rehab, and you did not leave for 60 days except for this one client. And that just speaks.
I did have the opportunity once a week because of my sister-in-laws to come, and they spent the night with Josie in rehab. So I would have a break. But I did not go to the office. I was not working. I was not taking client calls. I was focused on my daughter. And then, as Marta is saying, the client who I helped get life insurance in place 2 weeks after I lost my husband, her husband, he died. He was only 41. And I left the rehab because that's where I needed to be. Because you don't understand, and you're scared, and you have a pile of paperwork in front of you, and your best friend is gone. And unfortunately, this business is filled with people who want to make money off of you and want to just do that. And yes, as a fiduciary like Marta, our responsibility is always to have your best interest in mind. But Marta and I, both of us, we don't charge any fees to manage your account. We do what's best for our clients.
Right.
And I saw somebody who just lost her husband, who now had a pile of money coming at her. And I was scared for her because I've been sitting in rooms for 10 years with the men who run this industry. I've been looked over as a female. I have been not taken seriously in this industry, and I've let that all roll off my shoulders. I did not want to see this person invest with somebody who was going to make a buck off of them, who was going to take 2% of her earnings for themselves. I wanted her to feel safe and to feel protected and to be aware of how her money was invested, where it was, and how and what to do next. Because when your life crumbles around you, life insurance is not to pay off your mortgage. It is not to cover your credit card bills. It is simply a tool to buy you the time that you so desperately need to figure out what you're going to do next.
And I want to also address that all of this was going on. And so there was just you really weren't on social media that much while all this was happening. You'd maybe post about what was going on with your family or anniversaries or remembering important moments. But then you just kind of got off of it because you said that it was, and maybe and tell me if I'm misrepresenting what you said,
Yeah.
but that it was just too difficult sometimes to see what was on there and to see what was going on there. It was just too difficult. But that you did make the decision more recently, I would say, to start speaking out about your side of it and to reemerge as Traci, the mom who tries everything she can to be the best that she can be for her kids. And don't we all? To be the Traci who's the CEO of Shine On Investments, who didn't really, you didn't really know what to do, and it just all kind of unfolded as it was meant to. And so now you're committed to helping those around you, and you're using your social media to do that because you shared the stat, Traci.
Yes. So I shared
Tell
with
me
you
that
earlier, Marta,
Yeah.
that the reason, so what she's referring to is a very dark time in my life where I was the vice president of Riverfront Financial for 12 years. And I ran the business with my father-in-law, who was my mentor. And we had this business is great. And the clients were beautiful. And I worked there, and our office assistant, Rosemary, was the most beautiful, wonderful little nugget of a assistant you could ever have. And they're both in their 70s. And, I was spending more time fixing PDFs than I was like concentrating. So I decided to just make a life change. And with that, going back a little bit, like I said in the beginning, I jumped around a little bit. What Marta said was that I took myself off of social media. I had to do that. I was working in the office, and I was minding my own business and taking care of my clients. But I was stopped posting on social media because when I did share about Josie or Calvin or Sydney or myself, the entire community would lift me up with encouraging words and inspiration. And I wasn't feeling that way at the time. I just wanted to post a picture of my kids. And my community has gone above and beyond for me twice. When my husband died and when my daughter almost died. And then, I wanted to just live again and be a normal mom. And I didn't need to hear and be reminded every day of how well we're doing. Because on the inside, what was actually happening was I was not doing well. I was suffering a lot. And I took myself off because I didn't want to see everybody's normal life. And what I did was I went on Zillow, and I was just playing, and I knew I didn't want to go. I didn't want to buy a lake house. I was just bored. And I circled around Lake Pymatuning, which is like, nobody's ever heard of it. It's an hour and a half from my house, and Lake Conneaut, which is not far. I didn't want to go to a popular lake town close by. I didn't even want a lake house again, but I found one, and I bought it. I did. And I stepped out of line in my family because my father is a very successful realtor. And my father-in-law and myself are very successful financial advisors. And when I lost Michael, I took away my ability to make my own decisions. And I gave that right to the men in my life who I trust and love. And when I came to this lake house, I knew that they would say, Traci, slow down. Traci, you're impulsive. Traci, look at the inspection. And I didn't want to hear any of it. I wanted some freedom and somewhere to breathe, and I bought it. And that is where I actually learned how to use my iPhone and how to take pictures. Because the other side of me, before I was a financial advisor, before any of this trauma, I am a creative person. I'm an artist. And so I started taking pictures. And then I created an Instagram handle called Chasing Sunshine. I don't know, why not? And then it came to me one day as I was chasing the sun. I don't know what I was doing, but I was just, we started this podcast with Marta talking about her sponsor and mental health. And I was suffering.
And by the way, shout out to our sponsor, Black on Bread Coffee Company.
And when I see that, and I wanted the whole time, I was like holding myself back because that's called haven, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I see heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is just what I see, and that is how I feel, and that is like where I'm at these days. And I felt like during this time in my life where I was making a career change, I felt like I was losing friends. I felt like I was just imploding while I was trying to survive. Instead of chasing sunshine, I said, I'm going to open my own investment firm. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to teach other women and other people everything that I've learned. And I started Shine On Investments, where we all shine on. And go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to touch on the concept that we haven't really talked about exactly. So, well, you did end up buying the lake house, by the way. So Traci does have the lake house. She paid cash for it, and which is so powerful. And so I just want to mention the importance of that, because in the next, I think, decade or even 5 years, it's projected that people are going to get inheritances and life insurance settlements in the trillions collectively. Yes. And people don't know what to do with it. They just, the first thing is like, you spend it impulsively. But what Traci did is she was wise with it. She invested it and she lived off of the interest of the investment. And which gives her the ability also then to have without ever touching the principal. And then she had the ability then to have that available to her when she needed a haven, kind of a haven
decision to save my sanity.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. I love that, because I'm all about the blend of, I spent a lot of time in my business prior, my creative agency, and I made a ton of money. I made really good money. I was really proud to provide for my family while being a full-time mom. But I spent that shit.
Wait, girl, you're 7 kids.
Yeah, my 7 kids. Yeah. Yes. But I spent that as quickly as it came in.
Everyone does.
Because all of a sudden I had so much of it. And so
it's fun.
And it's fun. And all of a sudden, we're doing all the things. And I came from like an immigrant family. It was a struggle growing up. So I paid for that like exponentially. And I talk about that in my upcoming book, by the way. You guys need to get the copy September 4th. Course corrected. I talk about that, and I'm very open, like you, Traci. I'm an open book. I ate shit, and then I got back up, and I learned from it. And like you, Traci,
that's the only way.
I was like, how can I help people with this experience, and so that other people don't make the same mistakes I did.
Okay, so that's how you got into the industry.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
it. So I digress. But what I'm saying is, I commend that, because it's a beautiful marriage of thinking wisely and being a good steward of your money, but also recognizing the moments that it's time to go all in for this thing that is going to improve your life.
It's so important. You have to, number one, don't ever forget to invest in yourself, whether that be self-care. And self-care is something that I used to laugh at. And
why did you used to laugh at it? I'm curious.
Because I thought self-care was taking a bath or getting your nails done. And I didn't understand.
Yeah, talk about I think I know where you're going with this.
Self-care is not, now baths are great, and I get my nails done now. The reason I
Yeah,
didn't
they
get my
look
nails
nice.
done, I didn't used to get them done because they always remind me of my mother, who is a fabulous Mary Kay sales director and has been since I was.
By the way, my contouring is by your mother, and so is my foundation.
Her name is Susan Leeworth. And yeah, I mean, I'm 42. Look at the skin.
Yeah.
And yeah, look at Marta. I mean, we're killing it. Mary Kay. So wait, I lost track. Where was I?
You used to think that self-care was getting your nails
Yes,
done, taking
no,
a hot bath.
Self-care is boundaries. And a boundary, we don't have to get into all that. We don't have all day long. But a boundary is not a rule that you give somebody else to obey by. A boundary is something to protect yourself. And it took me a decade to learn what a boundary was and to utilize a boundary and to protect myself from people who are not purposely hurting me, who don't even understand that they hurt me or can see that they hurt me, but that hurt came from a place of misunderstanding. And my journey with mental health has been my journey. And my journey with losing my husband has been my journey. And I understand that he was a son and a friend and a brother. And I've never lost sight of that. But he was my husband and my best friend and the father of my children. And it was my daughter, mine,
right,
who was hit.
Right.
Not anybody else's.
Right. Yeah. And I honor that and acknowledge that. And I'm so glad that through the trauma of all of that, you are coming out, shining on and
Yes.
bringing light to other families who could be going through this and helping them build their own financial house. And you are emerging stronger and better than ever.
Let me go back a little bit because we did kind of like talk over, and I want to explain how I came out hot. So, like we were talking about, I took myself off of social media. I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
I bought a lake house.
Yeah.
My family thought I was crazy. I started taking pictures, and I left my old career. It was time for a change.
Mm-hmm.
What we just talked about was Facebook and the stats. The stats show that 77% of buyers buy what they see on social media.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere that you go, everybody is looking at their phone. Everywhere. I've noticed it. Everywhere. It bothers me, to be honest. Sometimes I just want to pick up a magazine and feel like it's like, so we're not like, it's like brain. Ooh. And, but when I decided to start Shine on Investments, what am I going to do? Am I going to stand in my front yard and like yell it out? Am I going to go on television and have commercials that people don't watch anymore? No, I'm going to utilize social media. It's 2025.
Yeah.
And so, being a creative at heart, I just went all in. And I said to myself, it's time for me to shine.
Mm-hmm.
And I scared a lot of people because I've been very quiet. I've been grieving. I've been sad. I've been hurt. I've been traumatized for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel better.
Yeah, you're coming out. You're coming out. You're going to be even better and better and better.
1 year ago, I was 35 pounds lighter than I am right now. And I'm a thin person. I'm a small person. And I was getting iron infusions because I was so sick. And I cried every day for 10 years.
Yeah, understandably.
And doctors prescribed me medication that didn't, I don't know. What did it do? It didn't bring my husband back. Didn't help save my daughter. It did control my panic attacks that I was having. But it also started to erase me.
Yeah.
And everybody around me continues to tell me that I need therapy, that I need medication, that I've had people tell me that I'm unstable because of my Facebook presence now.
Yeah, I've had people closest to me reach out and say, what you're doing is weird and nobody understands what you're doing. And it's like,
embarrassing. I've gotten
yeah.
embarrassed.
But you know what? It's what pays the bills. So I don't know what to tell you. In terms of, you could say all you want to say, but I see the proof of my efforts. So
now my efforts have been, I came out hot, right?
Yeah.
Like we all love Britney Spears, right? We all loved her when she said, "Oops, I did it again." But then when she did it again and again and again and again and again, everyone hated her.
Yeah.
Can you even imagine being Britney Spears? It would be so
that's
hard.
tough. Yeah, there's still hard. Every single day. Yeah.
And I actually bought the t-shirt back in like when this was happening that said "Free Britney."
Yeah.
Free Britney.
Yeah.
So like when I came out hot, everyone's like, "What's going on? Who is this new Traci?" It's the same Traci that's always been there. Right. I've never been, and Marta, we went to high school together. I've never been a quiet girl. I have never.
Traci, I never even told you. I don't think I told you like the first time I met you what happened. Okay. And you were completely right about this. Okay. And this is like a core memory of mine.
Okay.
We were at your house. There was a bunch of people there.
My parents' house?
Yes, your parents' house. Your parents. Sorry, Susan. You were not home.
Okay. So which house?
And I made some chicken nuggets or chicken tenders in a sheet or something like that. I ate them.
They still have those all the time. Okay. And
yeah. And then I started to walk away, and you were rightfully so. We're like, are you not going to clean this? Like, who do you think you are coming into my home, making my chicken nuggets and not cleaning the sheet? Like, what are you thinking? And I was like, no, yeah, you're right.
But I was the B word.
But I was like, but I still remember it to this day. I'm like,
it's like
she was right.
Now I don't clean up the chicken nuggets. I need to go back to that old Traci.
But you're right. Like, who are you to come into my house, make my food, eat my food, and then not even clean up after yourself? You're not leaving this here. Yeah,
I said that.
You do not need to say you're sorry. That was it's like you were establishing a boundary. And you know what, Traci? That's one of my biggest things that I want to talk about boundaries all the time is that we're very good at setting boundaries, but when somebody else establishes a boundary, like, hey, you made this, you need to clean it, people then get offended or they take it personally, they make it about them. And I'm like, no, you set a boundary. And if I want people to respect my boundaries, I'm going to respect your boundaries. Thank you for communicating that boundary. And people need to understand that when somebody sets a boundary, it's not about you. It's not about, it's not a rejection. It's not like you just, maybe you didn't even do anything wrong. Maybe you did. We're just setting boundaries so that people know how to treat us. And that's all that is.
It's crazy to hear you say that story because of everything I just said and how I lost myself completely when I lost my husband. And boundaries, I was vulnerable and I didn't say anything to anybody. And that is not who I am. And if you know me personally, you definitely know that's not who I am.
Yeah.
I am a loudmouth.
So am I.
I'm obnoxious. And so I turned that energy and all of this trauma and all of these feelings, and I learned how to create media. So people
use it. Yeah.
People consume and consume and consume social media and they're influenced to their core. You don't think that when you see a meme that says something, that was not generated by a conversation that you had earlier and that they are fixating on what your problem is. Years ago, I was convinced that that the relationship I was in was destroyed. And the only reason I was convinced of that is because Instagram was feeding me messages about narcissism.
Yes. Yes.
That's all I could see in front of me was a narcissist.
Yeah.
It created fear. It created doubt. it
Yeah, I'm so glad you bring this
almost
up.
ruined my relationship.
Right.
And it did for a while.
Yeah. I know, I hear you. It's you got to be very careful because a lot of people who don't have the credentials are on social media and they're diagnosing people without even ever meeting them. And there's some hot topic words, and then it's all of a sudden it's like, oh, maybe I have that. Maybe he is that. And so you do have to consult your mental health experts because that is like number one. Oh, maybe he's a narcissist, and you got to be careful about that.
Social media has allowed people to take what are facts and create their own opinions, and then utilize social media again to share their own opinions, which are not professional, which are not factual. And when we talk about mental health and we talk about doctors and we talk about medications, we have not yet talked about other remedies, such as natural remedies or other solutions besides doctors, besides medications, besides the norm, besides what the government and what everybody wants us to go by. And so I did something different. And I explored microdosing. And I needed to do that because for 10 years I was being pumped full of pharmaceuticals and I never stopped crying, ever. And then so I did my research and I was afraid to try microdosing because in high school we would abuse psychedelics.
Yeah, I abused those psychedelics.
And it was not something you want to do unless you are a kid and go there.
No.
I've been sober since November 26th of 2022. I have not had a drink of alcohol. And if you know me, I am the biggest party animal you could ever meet. Yeah. I love to have a good time.
But this was a solution that was different. And I like that you're bringing light to that.
Not the alcohol. I added in years later. This was this past December when I started my journey on microdosing. And then I went to Iceland because the microdoses made me feel again. I didn't know what I was feeling, but I was feeling something.
Right.
And it was different. And I didn't have to practice how to smile. And so I don't know how, but it was on social media. Something popped up about a conference in Iceland. So my impulsiveness and my bestest friend, who's impulsive and crazy, we got on a plane and we went to Iceland. And we sat with a panel of doctors to learn about trauma, about PTSD, and about the effects of hallucinogenics for mental health. Because all we've been taught is take your Zoloft. Take your Zoloft. I have a close friend in this community who lost his wife to postpartum psychosis as she was being pumped full of Zoloft. And I don't forget that. I don't forget that.
I know a lot of people I don't know a lot of people personally, but I know people that I am connected with deeply that had a similar experience with just being prescribed pills, and it just numbs you. And then I also have people that just for the sake of urgency and desperation, they went into facilities to try to feel better, and they just drug you up, and then they just release you. It doesn't feel peaceful. It doesn't feel healing. It feels like a prison, and then they just zombie you down. But Traci, this has been a wonderful conversation.
Yes. And thank you for allowing me to open up so much on your platform. I really appreciate that. And being two women in the same industry, facing looking for the same clients, coming together and having a conversation like this shows you that, number one, we're not in competition.
No.
We are not out there to fight against each other. We are on social media to support each other. Right. And it's amazing because let me just throw this in here. In March, I had 1,000 friends. And currently on Facebook, I have 8,200 followers.
Yeah. Just from starting to get visible. Yeah.
To me, I have made mistakes. Be careful if that ever happens to you. Be careful who you accept.
Yeah.
But I've cleaned it up. And I continue to do what I'm doing. And now people are just following me. And all of you should follow me too.
Yeah. So that's that leads us to the next step. Definitely find Traci Kovacic on Facebook and on Instagram. You can look for Shine On Investments on YouTube. Yeah. Because that is how you can so you can feel more into her energy and get her business wisdom and her financial wisdom. And let this be a reminder to you that we as women are here to lift each other up. There's no such thing as scarcity. That God's abundance is everlasting. It's not like a pie. It's just literally an abundance overflow. And so I am all about lifting each other up, especially because Traci's values and financial education are the same as mine. Buy term, invest the difference. Even with $50 a month over a long period of time can make a huge difference.
Get your money out of the savings accounts, people.
Yeah, get your money out of your savings account and into investments, please, with somebody that you trust. And there's two people right here that you can work with.
Charge you a fee. You don't have to. You don't have to.
Right. It's free to work with us.
You may have a great relationship with them. They're taking your money.
Exactly. But that about wraps it up. And thank you again to our sponsors at Black Oswald Coffee Company. Go to blackoswaldcoffeeco.com. Use the code with all caps, awesome15, and buy your blend. Every purchase benefits those undergoing mental health journeys. And you can partner with Black Oswald Coffee Company to start your own fundraiser for your favorite mental health cause. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.